Hey everyone, in case you missed it, January is officially over. I know, spoiler alert. I think it's becoming extremely apparent that 2025 is becoming one of the craziest years for gaming that I've had the privilege of being a part of. So I thought it would be a really cool opportunity to look back at some of the craziest news stories from January of 2025. All right, sorry for the change up, but we got a little bit of breaking news here. Minecraft 2 has just been announced. And again, this is developing while we are filming. We're in the studio right now. And I just got a text message saying, check my DMs. And sure enough, there is the announcement. So what we have is Notch, the creator of Minecraft, has taken to X and posted that they are working on Minecraft 2. So let's pull up this tweet real quick. I basically announced Minecraft 2. I thought that maybe people actually do want me to make another game that's super similar to the first one, and I'm loving working on games again. Good to hear that. I don't super duper care exactly which game I make first, or even if I make more, but I do know I'm making one. So I figure I'd absolutely be willing to give it an honest shot in the form of a spiritual successor to Minecraft, and put up a poll about it. My intentions are to be clear and honest about it, saying that spiritual successors are usually kind of, washed up, tragic. The things I'm fearing my next game is going to be anyway, and try to push myself to avoid. So why not do things that people do want and are willing to give me somehow even more cash for? Yeah, Minecraft is like... Yeah, the amount of money generated from Minecraft is nuts. So I love that they're actually making kind of a joke here. I intend for the money to be spent for good, but my God, have I learned I fail a lot. Winning is failing until you make yourself succeed. Oh, and I also very much value being a man of my word, so I also intend to do this in a way that in no way tried to sneakily infringe on the incredible work Mojang team is doing and that Microsoft is successfully doing the Microsoft shitification about. I'm sorry, did he write shitification? That Microsoft is successfully doing the Microsoft shitification about. And I respect them for doing that. It's their job, and they, from what I understand, let the studio do things their way, which seems very fair to me. All right, so there's the post, right? Notch is essentially saying they want to work on a Minecraft 2 that will be outside of Mojang and will be outside of Microsoft. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do. I mean, like, do you stay with the blocks? And what is considered like part of that brand? Can he build a game that is blocky without it infringing on the Microsoft the patent and what Microsoft's doing? I'm just going through the Twitter page right here to try to figure out what is going on, and I assume the poll, so here it is, we'll pull this up as well. Notch is asking, honest and legitimate request for feedback for once. The new game I'm passionately working on is currently set to be a traditional roguelike, ADOM, NetHack, etc., mixed with a tile-based first-person dungeon crawler, Legends of Grimrock, and Eyes of the Beholder. But then I got to thinking, that maybe there are people who like my work but might not share my taste in retro nostalgia and would prefer for me to make a spiritual successor thing to Minecraft. And I mean, sure, I'd take that cash. So market research, I'd be happy to oblige either way. Which one would you be happier with? I love uncursing potions and make Minecraft 2 Boomer. And of course we are selecting Make Minecraft 2 Boomer. And at the time of filming this with over 120,000 votes, we are sitting at 72.3% saying Make Minecraft 2 Boomer. And I love uncursing potions at 27.7%. Very, very interesting development here. And I'm really interested to see where this goes. So Notch followed up to the post basically saying, please vote potion. You can do this, Zoomers. It's actually super cozy. Kind of feels like Stardew Valley, but more diagonal door kicking. So it seems like he definitely would like to do something else, but Minecraft 2 is coming. And yeah, I mean, I think it's really, really, really interesting. And again, I guess the part of this that I'm interested in is Minecraft is, to my understanding, the ownership belongs to Mojang, and Mojang is obviously owned by Microsoft. So I don't know what Notch owns, and I don't know what assets or what coding Notch has, But I do have to question, can you really patent like blocks? Can you really like copyright blocks? Like, I mean, I guess essentially what they're doing is just bricks, right? You could create that side, and would Minecraft 2 maybe move from bricks to like a step forward? Either way, this is developing, and we're going to be talking about this a whole lot more as it develops over the year. It sounds like it's early stages, so do not expect Minecraft 2 anytime this year, next year, or even 2027 at best. Plus, who knows? I mean, it sounds like there's some issues between Notch and Mojang and Microsoft, but maybe Microsoft looks at this and Mojang looks at this and they're like, yo, you want to make a Minecraft 2? Let's throw some serious cash behind this. Let's throw some serious money and let's get this going. Now, admittedly, I'm not the biggest Minecraft player. I've definitely played it, but I don't know the history here between Notch and Microsoft and Mojang. So let me just reach out to my Minecraft expert real quick to see if I can get them to answer a couple questions.
Yo.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hey, I'm in my studio right now, filming a video. Are you good? Are you good to talk for a second?
Yeah.
I got a question about Minecraft.
Okay.
So Minecraft 2 just got announced.
Okay, I didn't even see that.
So it's not Mojang, it's not Microsoft. Notch. I have no idea who this guy is. Who's Notch?
Notch is the original creator of Minecraft.
Okay. So he sold it to Mojang, or he started Mojang?
I think he sold it to Mojang.
Okay.
And, yeah. And then he was still a part of it, and then I believe he left when they sold to Microsoft.
Okay. I'm assuming is there like bad blood there?
It's hard to say. Notch is a character.
Okay.
And he says whatever he wants, so he's kind of like canceled, if you will.
Okay.
Been a couple times.
Okay.
That's all I really know.
So he basically posted this, and I'll read you this part. He basically says he wants to make Minecraft 2. It's like a spiritual successor to the first game. He needs to raise money for it, so he's telling people like he's going to need cash for it. But he basically said like he's going to do it to not infringe on Mojang, and that Microsoft is successfully doing the Microsoft shitification. And I was like, oh man, has Microsoft really been destroying Minecraft? I mean, I guess I'm not that familiar with it.
They charge for a lot of stuff. So on the non-Java side, so the Bedrock edition, like you can buy worlds, you can buy skins, you can buy like modded stuff. Whereas on Java, like all that stuff's free.
Okay.
So that's probably what he's referring to.
Okay. And then I guess when it comes to Minecraft, I mean, what is there like, are there trademarks there? Like, does Microsoft and Mojang own like the blocks, or is that like fair game for him to make a Minecraft 2?
I'm assuming they don't, because there's a lot of block games. Like there was a PixArk, which was like a Minecraft version of Ark. That was up for a long time. They never got sued or anything, so... Huh. I mean, I'm assuming if they use, like, Minecraft official textures and stuff, then yeah, probably.
Right, or like any of the original coding or anything like that, you would probably be screwed.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of, like, pixelated versions of games.
Okay. Huh. And I guess the last question I have for you is, like, if there was going to be a Minecraft 2, what would you want? I mean, would you want it to stay pixelated, or would you want it to like upgrade the graphics, or would you want it to look different, or just add more like depth to the overall game?
I think that the one thing that Minecraft lacks from a full game perspective is adventure.
Okay.
Like, there's no adventure in Minecraft, and that's what makes modded Minecraft so fun, is because they add adventure to the base game. So you have the building, you have the farming, you have all of the standard fun stuff that you can enjoy in Minecraft, but there's no real adventure. And they've been trying to do that, like they added the Deep Dark, and they added the new biome, which I can't remember what it's called, but that just came out. The Creaking is like a new mob that like hunts you when you're in that biome.
Sounds
cool.
So
they're trying to do it, but it's just not going well. Most of the things you go and you do once, and then you don't ever have to do again. because you get the one reward that you need to go there to get.
Gotcha. So there's not like a kind of like a grind to it where you could basically do it like 3 or 4 times in a row.
Yeah, if you're not a builder or like you're not trying to build crazy large farms, like there's no end game for you in Minecraft.
That's true. Well, that's a good point.
Like, and that's why there's only a certain market for people that continue to play it and do stuff on it. Interesting.
So I guess with you saying Notch is kind of like a pariah and kind of like canceled in a way, I would assume, because like my guess was like, he's like, oh, I need money. And I'm like, why wouldn't you just go to Mojang and Microsoft and just be like, I want to make a Minecraft too? I would assume like he's canceled to the point where like Microsoft and Mojang are like, we don't want anything to do with that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Microsoft 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, like the only way I can explain it from like the last thing I've seen is like, you know how J.K. Rowling says just like all this transphobic stuff and has been canceled many times? He's very similar.
Okay. Okay.
So Microsoft, I guarantee, wants zero anything to do with it.
Okay. That answers a lot for me.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
I don't know the full story. Might be worth reading into it, but...
Yeah, no, I'll have to check it out.
He is the original creator. That's why people will still refer to Enchanted Golden Apples as Notch apples.
All right, there we have it. Boss MC Builds, YouTube creator, builds crazy giant buildings over on YouTube. Definitely give him a check. But, I mean, here's the thing. That adds a whole lot of fuel to this fire. Because at the end of the day, I was under the impression, and I'm like, okay, why doesn't Microsoft just self-fund this? Why doesn't he go to Microsoft? But if he's canceled, and it's to the level that Boss is saying, then, I mean, yeah, Microsoft definitely doesn't want to do that. Mojang probably doesn't want to do that. So he's going to have to do it on his own. And it's going to be interesting. You know, and I also thought it was interesting, like you said, it's not a graphic situation. It's maybe more adding more depth and more adventure to the Minecraft 2 game. But, man, you talk about breaking news. I think this is the first time breaking news has happened here on the channel. And adds a whole lot. It makes me wish we did this show live. Marvel Rivals is teasing the Fantastic Four as coming to the video game. Yeah, in a new image posted on X. Let's pull this up real quick. The official Marvel Rivals account has showed an image of New York, the Baxter Building, the Thing, the Human Torch, Reed Richards, the Invisible Woman, and Herbie the Robot. And man, Marvel Rivals had a killer 2024, and now that we're in 2025, we clearly have new content coming. Season 1 is right around the corner. There's a lot to be excited about. Specifically, this social media post says, get ready to welcome Marvel's first family in Marvel Rivals trailer on January 6th at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Be there. Now, last I checked, I think Season 1 is rumored to start on January 9th. So I have to assume that not only will this trailer introduce the Marvel family, but also like, here's the new characters coming to the game, and we'll have like a Fantastic Four themed battle pass and some other stuff coming to the game. And I think it's also interesting because like with this photo, New York clearly going to be a playable map as part of this expansion. And I mean, last week's show, we discussed the XOX leaks over on X, reporting that New York was going to be a planned map as part of her data leak. So it is cool to see like that part of it came true. Now, the other part of their leak was saying that Deadpool was coming to the game. I guess we'll wait for the trailer on January 6th, but no Deadpool in this announcement. I mean, it could still be happening, but it's just not happening yet. However, I do have to say, you know, Mr. Fantastic being in the game, I think is really fun. I think that his powers add something really unique where he can like stretch and maybe he could like slingshot people across the map. The Thing, I think, has the potential to be like a dope tank in the video game. And you're just clobbering all the other enemies. Like I think that he and Hulk, I just want to see people just go at it. Just have like 1v1 Hulk versus Thing. Who will survive? But the other thing, Dark Horse in this announcement is Herbie. What is that robot? Like, is that robot going to be a playable character in Season 1? That's what I want to know. And we'll find out soon. January 6th. It's coming very, very soon. Corner will obviously be covering it on the daily here on the show and diving into all of Season 1 content that's announced during the week. So if you want more Marvel Rivals news as it develops, we'll obviously be talking about it on the daily for the Nerf Gaming members, but also we'll be talking about it on next week's show as well. Despite flops like Concord, Sony has told Famitsu that they are not giving up on live services, which I cannot wait to dive into this because I love PlayStation single-player games. PlayStation live services, we've got some room to grow, I think is safe. So Anyway, Famitsu sat down with PlayStation's CEO of Studio Business Group, Herman Holst, who essentially talked about like PlayStation's roadmap for the next year, right? And one of the key conversation points was, how do you rate PlayStation's performance in 2024? To which Herman responded saying, PlayStation Studios is a place where talented creators gather, and we are happy that Astrobot, created by Japan's Team Asobi, is receiving praise around the world. This is a very important title in our portfolio. PlayStation Studios aims to expand the PlayStation community through games such as Astrobot and LEGO Horizon Adventures, and we also plan to release great titles such as Ghost of Yotei in the future. We hope that more players will continue to enjoy our works. We are also continuing to grow our live service division, with Helldivers 2 being a huge success in forming a strong portfolio. The Studio Business Group is focused on rigorously selecting games that provide great experiences to players. We are also focusing on expanding our IP in new areas, such as a movie version of Ghost of Tsushima. But then this interview takes a turn, because Famitsu goes straight for the jugular with this next question. Famitsu asked Herman Holst, on the other hand, Concord was shut down in about 2 weeks, and the closure of 2 studios, Neon Koi, Firewalk Studios, was also announced. As the COVID-19 pandemic calms down, the games business is changing rapidly. But how do you analyze the causes? Also, will there be any changes in your strategy for live services and mobile games due to the closures of these studios? God damn! Famitsu just pulling out the journalism card and asking the hard-hitting questions. All right, cannot wait to see how Herman jumps into this. Herman, the game business is constantly changing due to the various factors, including technological advances, new genres, and ways of playing. However, one thing that remains constant is people's desire for great entertainment experiences, and attentions to games continue to grow. However, this has also created competition, and like many companies in the industry, we have had to make changes to our business to solidify a more sustainable operating base. Going forward, we will continue to focus on developing live services titles along with story-driven single-player titles that our players want. We are learning a lot as we establish the ability to develop high-quality live service titles with Sony Interactive Entertainment. Helldivers 2 attracted many players through continuous content provisions and achieved results that support the potential of live service titles. In mobile games, we want to develop PlayStation IP in a way that maximizes synergy with the console. To that end, we will first focus on collaborations with external development studios. In November 2023, we announced a strategic partnership with NCSoft to collaborate in the mobile field. In October 2024, Destiny Rising, a mobile game based on Destiny IP, was announced, developed, and published by NetEase Games. I think it's important to take a pause here and point out a couple things. While Concord definitely was a loss for PlayStation, Helldivers 2 had a solid 2024, right? And for Sony, I think you have the tale of two stories, right? You have a company that looks at companies like Epic Games, right? And they're like, yo, these guys are killing it with Fortnite. We want part of that Fortnite. We don't want to be a Fortnite platform. We want to be the Fortnite, right? That's PlayStation's MO. And so they're like, we're going to get into live services. So they invest heavily into the live service market without really knowing like what's good, what's bad. And I think you have the tale of two tales. On one end, you have Helldivers, which was a complete success for Sony. It's a fantastic live service video game. People are still playing it, and the content is flowing very well. However, on Concord, it was like a fart in church. Nobody wanted to play that game. It got killed in 2 weeks. And I think you as Sony have to realize that, like, hey, the live service market is there. It's something we can capitalize on, but we got to be cautious the way we do it. And in many ways, it's interesting, because the reason I see a lot of people saying Concord failed was because it was $49.99, right? It cost money. Helldivers 2 also cost money to play. Helldivers 2 is not a free-to-play video game. So it's like, yes, we have these live service experiences that are free to play and they do very well, but on one side, Helldivers 2 starts a narrative that says, hey, if your game is good enough and it can last the test of time and it has a really good loop of gameplay, people are going to play it. And not only are people going to play it, but they're going to pay $39.99 to be a part of it. The other thing that I took away from there is that Sony really, I think, has realized that single-player games are their bread and butter. And that's a huge win for me. I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago, But like, I would love to see Sony invest very, very heavily into more single-player narrative games every single year. Like, I want more Uncharted. I want Last of Us 3. I want another God of War. Give me another Order 1866. I mean, give me a SOCOM. Like, there are so many games that Sony could create and make them fun games that it's not happening, and it's super sad. So it sounds like that's going to be changing. Ghost of Tsushima 2 and Ghost of Tsushima TV show, that's a massive W, man. I cannot wait to play the Ghost of Tsushima 2. I just beat the first game last year. Absolutely loved it. The TV show, I'm sure, is going to be great. If it's anything like Last of Us, it's going to be fantastic. Destiny mobile game. I don't know how I missed this story. And Destiny is a very sensitive subject. I was talking to my wife about it a couple days ago. I love Destiny. I think it's such a great game, but having become a father and being a dad, my time to do quests and raids and do these missions, it's not possible. I don't have time to do like the RNG and the grinding. Like, it's not possible. So the fact that we have a Destiny mobile game, I'm literally going to check that out. Once we get off the show, they said it was released. So I might have to install this, check it out, because I'm very interested in how that performs. And maybe instead of playing the Pokemon trading card game, I add Destiny 2 to my mobile game, and I'll just travel with my phone and be able to play it on there. So that's not all that we have from Herman Hulst. There was one last thing that I thought was really interesting. Herman Hulst was asked about PlayStation releasing exclusives onto the Nintendo Switch, notably talking about like the Lego Horizon Zero Dawn video game that launched this year. And Herman said, live service titles are released on multiple platforms because it's important that multiple players can play the game together. For other titles, we consider and decide the policy based on whether it's best sales format for the players and the company. So going off that and everything else he said, single-player games sound like they're going to be PlayStation 5 and then eventually come to PC or Steam. Live service titles are going to be everywhere, but then you're also going to have like a middle ground for exclusives that are like, no, this is coming to Nintendo, this is coming to Xbox. Really kind of a strong format for PlayStation, and I hope it succeeds for them. So anyway, really, really cool dive into like the future of PlayStation. I thought it was kind of cool to read into that. Wanted to share it with y'all. I don't think there's any arguing, but Black Myth Wukong was one of the best video games of 2025. And a lot of gamers are looking at this game and they're seeing all the hype and they're seeing all the demand and they're asking the question like, why was this not on Xbox? And luckily this week, the game's director pretty much came out and just gave us like a final answer as to why the game is not on Xbox. For those unaware, Black Myth Wukong is an action RPG from developer Game Science. The game is heavily rooted in Chinese mythology, with the game's story primarily being based on the journey to the West. You essentially play as the Destined One, and on your way, you embark on this epic journey and you fight legendary enemies. In fact, this game was so well received and so many people loved it that it was nominated for Game of the Year last year at the Game Awards, and I believe it walked away with 2 awards. I want to say it was like Action Game of the Year, and maybe Player's Choice was the other award it went to. Either way, the game did really well last year. But when it came out, the game was only available for PC and for PlayStation, essentially skipping Xbox, which led a ton of gamers to do what gamers do best, is they speculated the living hell out of this. Maybe Sony paid for the exclusivity. Maybe it's a timed exclusivity and we'll get the game eventually. Maybe Xbox is shutting down. Maybe the Xbox isn't powerful enough. Or perhaps Xbox is giving up on exclusives, so other developers are giving up on Xbox. Again, say what you will about gamers, but they are really good at going from like 1 to 11 in like 2 seconds. Now, the common sense speculation to why Black Myth Wukong maybe skipped Xbox this time around was that the game couldn't run on the console, specifically talking about the Xbox Series S, because you might not be aware, but when games come to the Xbox platform, the games not only have to run on the Xbox Series X, which is the most powerful console ever made, but it also has to run on the Xbox Series S, which has slightly reduced power and slightly reduced hardware, which in the case of this game, maybe the game runs on the X, but it doesn't run on the S. And look, that's just the theory that I subscribe to, but These conspiracies are wild. There are so many theories out there, and they're getting so out of hand that it even got to Xbox's Phil Spencer, literally the guy in charge of it all, with GameFile's Steven Totillo asking Phil Spencer, Steven, do you know if you're getting Black Myth Wukong on Xbox at some point? Phil Spencer, I do know. Steven, are you getting it? Phil Spencer, laughing. I can't announce that. Which there's two schools of thought here. One, this type of information doesn't make it to Phil, right? And Phil's just like trying to run the day-to-day operations of the company. Or two, he does know why the game's not on the platform and it has nothing to do with hardware, and maybe it is truly an exclusivity. And to their credit, Microsoft did feed into this by telling Forbes, as we have said before, we are excited for the launch of Black Myth Wukong on Xbox Series X and S and are working with Game Science to bring the game to our platform. We'd prefer not to comment on the deals made by our partners with other platform holders, but we can confirm that the delay is not due to the Xbox platform limitations that have been raised to us. So right there, Phil Spencer and Xbox are saying this has nothing to do with hardware and is 100% the fact that PlayStation paid for this game to be an exclusive. Well, fast forward to this week, January 2025, the year of our Lord Grand Theft Auto 6, and we have a quote from the game director of Black Myth Wukong, who posted on Weibo saying, although there were no big surprises, I still felt a little emotional after getting all of them. Everyone's fighting power is so terrifying, but the only thing missing is the Xbox robe. It seems a bit wrong, but the 10 gigabit of shared memory, it's really impossible to get it without several years of optimization experience. Crying emoji, crying emoji, crying emoji. So, for those of you following along at home, Xbox is saying it has nothing to do with hardware. This is a paid exclusive by PlayStation. Meanwhile, the developer on this side of the globe is like, hey, this has nothing to do with it being a paid exclusive. We can't get the game to run on your console. What a way to start off 2025, am I right? And look, I guess where I fall on this one is like Black Myth Wukong eventually will be on Xbox. I have zero doubt in that. If this is truly an exclusivity deal and Game Science is just trying to throw everybody off the trail, then sure, no big deal. This is not a big story. We have exclusivity all the time. Xbox does it, Nintendo does it, PlayStation does it. Everybody in the gaming industry does this, so this isn't really a big story. However, if this is not a paid exclusive and a developer is struggling to bring a modern-day game to both consoles, that's a big issue. Because that means there's going to be other developers out there who can't bring their game to the Xbox Series X because they're being pulled down by the Xbox Series S. And if developers begin to skip bringing their game to the Xbox due to hardware limitations, then yeah, it might be time for Xbox to figure out something different because they're going to need an internal solution to fix that. And I don't know if Xbox tries to do something like, hey, the game can run natively on the Xbox Series X, but if you want to play it on the S, it's available via the cloud. Kind of what they do with the Xbox One, right? Or does Xbox completely change the console, completely rewrite the operating system, and start opening up some resources to the developers? I mean, could they rewrite the OS to make sure that there's more RAM available for developers to play their games on the Xbox Series S? Because there are a ton of Xbox Series S owners that are like, why did I buy this console? And I think that's been a story that we've kind of been watching since the announcement. We've always thought like, man, the X is cool and everything, but it's always going to just be held back by the S because it's going to have like duality between the two consoles. But again, I understand this sounds like it's a big issue and that I'm hating on Xbox right now, but I'm not. I mean, we are talking about Microsoft, the company who survived the Red Ring of Death, something that would have put 90% of companies completely out of business. I have full confidence that Xbox not only will get Black Myth Wukong running on the console, but this whole like it'll run on the X but it won't run on the S, I totally think Xbox is going to get that completely taken care of. We almost got a Halo episode of Secret Level that featured a crossover from Doomslayer. Yeah, Did not expect this story this week at all. But essentially, the series creator, Tim Miller, sat down for a Q&A session with Collider, and they published the article this week. And I do want to, before we jump into this, I kind of do want to take a second just to say, like, Secret Level is so freaking good. Like, I think anytime you have a show that releases 15 episodes, and 13 of those 15 episodes absolutely slap, that's really good, right? 2 of the episodes, not my favorite, but like 13 of them, ridiculously good. The Mega Man episode, awesome. Sifu episode, fantastic. The Crossfire episode, one of my favorites. And then the Exodus Odyssey, I thought was such a masterpiece. And it's honestly like a masterclass in storytelling in such a short format. But Secret Level, in my opinion, it has raised the bar for video game TV shows. And kudos to everyone that worked on this game. I think it's really good. I mean, my only gripe is that the episodes are so short. And I understand that that's like part of the show, right? You got short episodes. But, God, man, it's so good. Like, Mega Man was an 8-minute episode. And I was so disappointed. I was like, give me more Mega Man, man. How are you just going to give me 8 minutes? And I understand, like, leave me wanting more. But you're only giving me 8 minutes of Mega Man? Like, come on. Anyway, this Q&A talks about a lot. But one of the topics turned into, like, hey, what episodes almost happened? And this is where the supervising director, Dave Wilson, jumped in and basically said, it's tricky because it's not like we're the first folks to realize, like, hey, these video game IPs are awesome and we should turn them into other things. So a lot of them have pre-existing deals, and that's the beauty of the series. Prime Video essentially just puts the episode on the platform. Everything else, the characters we come up with, the storylines we develop, they belong to the developers. So there was no land grab for the series, which I think is incredibly forward-thinking of Amazon. There were some IPs that we approached that were having a really big moment at the time, and Hollywood came a-calling. And 3 years later, nothing has happened. We were going to make an episode for them. It was going to be awesome, but Hollywood happens. And then Tim Miller jumped into the conversation saying, I get a little chafed when I read online and they're like, hold on, these assholes took Spelunky when they could have taken Halo or something like that. And I'm like, man, you think we didn't talk to Halo or something? And Wilson closed out the conversation saying, the creative director at id Software is a good friend of ours, and so are the folks at Microsoft. So we made a big plea because one of the things both Tim and I would love to do is something that isn't currently available in the games, like crossovers. We wanted to make a Master Chief Doomslayer crossover episode, and I spent a whole weekend crafting this impassioned letter of my childhood, and it's exactly what Tim said. They were just like, nah. This is where I have 2 schools of thought, because one is a fan, right? I'm like, man, can you imagine an episode where Master Chief just lands on Mars and he has to team up with the Doomslayer and they're just killing and slaying a bunch of demons? Like, sign me up. That sounds like episode of the year. But then on the other side, I look at it from a business perspective and like content creation and IP, and I'm like, well, yeah, obviously. Yeah, Doom and Halo are extremely popular franchises. It's no wonder that this has already been taken, right? Like, they are probably tied up in very deep contracts, not only for movies, but for television and also for animated series. So I get that id Software and Netflix wouldn't be able to do this because as awesome as it would be, it's not worth the legal headache of trying to get through all the lawsuits and like getting permission and not getting permission and seeing where you can get the show out. This does raise the question because we do know it got renewed for a 2nd season, so a 2nd season of Secret Level is coming. Doom and Halo are definitely like top S-tier episodes that I would love to see on this show. But I would also like to see a Frogger. I think a Frogger episode with the style of Secret Level could be very clever. I think it would be very funny. I would also like to see Nintendo show up to the battle and maybe give us Metroid or a Star Fox. A Star Fox Secret Level would be sick. And yeah, Mega Man Episode 2. Maybe make it twice as long this time. Give us a 16-minute episode of Mega Man. But I don't know. Like, I also land on this whereas, like, as cool as a Doom and Halo crossover would have been on Secret Level, I feel like those franchises need to have their own standalone episodes. Like, give me Doomslayer in a gritty world similar to the Warhammer episode where he's just like slaying and ripping and tearing apart demons, and then have another episode that's very like Space Marine themed and have that be the Halo one. Give me Master Chief, give me Cortana, put them all in there. I don't know. I just feel like putting them together is kind of like a disservice because they can both stand alone so perfectly on their own. As much as I'd love to see crossovers, I think standalone would be so freaking cool. But anyway, I mean, I also have to assume here that seeing the success of the first season and how much people are absolutely loving this show, that a lot of developers and maybe studios who were like, no, you can't use our characters. They're going to be coming back this time and knocking on the door and be like, so, why don't you do an episode for us, huh? Anyway, Secret Level, it's available right now on Prime TV. I highly recommend you check it out. And I guess this is a good time as ever to kind of talk about this. Next week, our brand new show Coming Soon launches here on the channel. It's got a 48-hour exclusivity to Nerf Gaming members, but after that, it's available for the public. But we're diving into video game movies, video game televisions, video game animated series, and the first one we're talking about is Secret Level. We're talking about all 15 episodes, which ones I liked, which ones I didn't like, what I want to see more of. So if you want to hear more about the show and get my personal review on it, check out Coming Soon, which will be available first for Nerf Gaming friends next week. A new patent from Nintendo suggests that this Switch 2 may feature AI upscaling. Yes, 2025 is here, and welcome back to the countdown to the Nintendo Switch 2. We are weeks away from finding out what this console is going to be, and this story actually comes from Tom Phillips over at Eurogamer, who uncovered a brand new patent from Nintendo that uses technology similar to NVIDIA's like DLSS, and it essentially like upscales the graphics using artificial intelligence. And it's my understanding that Nintendo would essentially use this technology to basically say, hey, we can't put 4K games on our cartridges, but we can upscale them to 4K when they're running on the console. Now, definitely worth noting here, this patent was originally filed back in 2023 by Nintendo, but it wasn't published until this week, which has a lot of people speculating the fact that, like, man, we must be getting close. We're getting close to the Switch 2 reveal because Nintendo's putting all their cards on the table. And, you know, some have suggested, like, this isn't a big deal, right? Like, this isn't really something to worry about, but, like, the concept is like, hey, you got Nintendo Switch cartridges. Those things are maxed out at 32 gigabytes of storage. So there's no way you're putting a full 4K experience on that cartridge. It's just not happening. So by Nintendo doing this upscaling, you might be able to take like a 1080p game and put it on that cartridge and then upscale it to 4K. 100% acceptable, I think, in the world of Nintendo where we're at today, which, having said that, I already can hear the console platform warriors are like, it's not true 4K. Nintendo baby's playing at 1080p. Upscaled! Yeah, my 2025 prediction right here. Every single Nintendo video is just going to have upscaled in the comment section. And look, where I land on this is like, maybe it's because I grew up with the PlayStation 1 and the Nintendo 64 and the Super Nintendo as being like my introduction to gaming, but like, graphics resolutions, pixel counts, even like frames per second, that doesn't make a good game. Now, it makes a beautiful game. I will 100% admit. Games that have 4K resolution, I mean, they're beautiful. But being a beautiful game doesn't make it a good game. And I have played plenty of ugly-ass video games that were incredibly fun that I absolutely adore. And I think going into like the Nintendo Switch 2, that 100% is going to be my mentality. It's like, yes, this isn't going to be as powerful as an Xbox Series X. It's not going to be as powerful as a PlayStation 5. And for the love of God, it's obviously not as strong as my personal gaming computer, but it's able to run games and it's able to upscale. And if that's Nintendo's kind of push, sure. As long as the games are fun, we're good. But if we get a bunch of like upscaled, you can't even barely play them video games, yeah, that is where this is going to be an issue. Now, most weeks here on the Nerf Report, we only have one Nintendo Switch 2 story to talk about. However, this week, we have two, because it's 2025 and things are heating up. So, if you're not aware, photos of the Nintendo Switch 2's motherboard were leaked onto Reddit. And let's pull that image up real quick. And my, oh my, look at that sexiness. Yep, that is a motherboard, my friends. You got some circuits, you got some resistors, you got an NVIDIA something right there. You got a USB port. That's beautiful. And boy, oh boy, hot damn. That is some sexy ass soldering, if you ask me. And look, I don't mean to make fun of people who are like genuinely excited to see a motherboard. For me, it doesn't do it for me, right? But whatever floats your boat, that's perfectly fine. I think I'm just at a point where the hype for this console, the Nintendo Switch 2, is so high. And the drought of good information from Nintendo has been so long that I think that anything that pops up is like big news. Like, oh my God, we got a cover, we got a screen protector. Like everywhere you look, there's Switch 2 news. And I guess I'm kind of getting exhausted. Like I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't want to see any more leaks. I don't want to see any photos of motherboards. I don't want to see any photos of guys holding it on the left and right. And I'm like, is it real? Is it not real? Did AI make this image? I just want to see the console. I just want to hear the announcement. I just want to hear Nintendo tell me how broke I am going to be for the next 3 months. So anyway, Nintendo Switch 2, rumored to be announced sometime here in January. We will obviously be paying attention to this very closely over the next couple weeks. Also, if you're not subscribed and you're not a Nerf Gaming News friend, please do so because we do cover the news as it breaks on the day it breaks over on the daily. Definitely worth checking that show out as well. Minecraft 2 has officially been canceled. Yeah, this was the story that kind of broke last week while we were filming. Like, we were wrapping up the show, and then I got a text message, and like, dude, Minecraft broke. And I'm like, we got to talk about it on the show. I can't have a show where we don't talk about Minecraft 2 being announced. But it's funny that here we are a week later, and all of that hype completely gone. Minecraft 2, not happening. But just in case you missed it, the original creator of Minecraft, Notch, revealed over on X that he wanted to make this spiritual successor to Minecraft, even going to the point of opening it up to fans on whether or not they would like a Minecraft 2 or they just want him to make a completely new video game. And the fans, to I think nobody's surprise, went absolutely towards give us a Minecraft 2. In fact, like the last time I checked, last night, I think it was like 81.5% for Minecraft 2. And then whatever that second game was like the additional 18.5%. So like clearly, everybody just wants a Minecraft 2. They want to see what a spiritual successor to Minecraft would be, which leads us to today. And you might be asking, with a poll like that where 81% of your fans want a Minecraft 2, what do? What did Notch decide to do? Drumroll, ladies and gentlemen. He decided to ignore the masses and make something completely different. Yeah, in a new post over on X, Notch revealed, talk to the fellas at the office. Looks like we're making levers and chests. Tipping point was PC Gamer saying that it seemed interesting. LOL, yeah, I still love PC Gamer. Now, understandably, some gamers are going to be upset by this, and they're going to feel betrayed by the announcement, being like, dude, you said we're getting Minecraft 2, and now we're not. And Notch is already on damage control, posting tweets like, trust me, the spiritual successor would be way less fun than the dungeon roguelike. They're always kind of sad nostalgia dumps. We'd probably give it a shot had the outcome been significantly more biased towards what people think they want. Yeah, 80% of people don't know what they want. Anyway, look, you can't force someone to make something that they're not passionate about. And I've got two schools of thought here. One, Notch had no intention to make a Minecraft 2, right? They're working on this game behind the scenes. They know they want to make, levers and chests. And he's like, we gotta get some interest in this game. How can we make people realize that I'm not canceled? And how can I get people to be realizing that I'm relevant? This game's gonna matter and get investors involved. Which he probably doesn't need investors because he made $2.5 billion off of the first Minecraft. But, I mean, he posts this tweet. He's like, hey, what about Minecraft 2? And then the excitement gets way too high. It gets way out of control. And he's like, oh, we didn't have any plans to make Minecraft 2, but we wanted to make levers and chests. But the other school of thought is like when you have that much excitement and demand around something, no matter what you release, you're never going to live up to that hype. Like Minecraft 2 could have been the greatest game of all time, but you're still going to have people being like, it's not as good as the original, man. Which got me wondering, like, if 81% of people were telling me to do something and then I read an article and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to do what those 81% of people want me to do. I wanted to find out what PC Gamer actually wrote. And the article, interestingly enough, is from Ted Litchfield over at PC Gamer, who wrote, and there are a ton of other Minecraft spiritual successors already out there and established to compete with. Terraria and Dragon Quest builders are the closest examples. But depending on how strict your definition is, the entire tree-punching, base-building survival genre could count. The roguelike dungeon crawler honestly strikes me as a much more interesting game, and it's a surprisingly underexplored concept in a saturated roguelike space. But also, what's the point of taking a $2.5 billion payout if you're just going to shelve your questionable, profitable passion project for what the crowd says it wants? Clearly, that is the part where PC Gamer dictated the future of gaming. We could have got a Minecraft 2 if it wasn't for PC Gamer. Let's run the clickbait now. This just in, PC Gamer kills Minecraft 2. Is PC Gamer responsible for the death of Minecraft 2? Ted Litchfield apologizes to thousands of gamers for killing Minecraft 2. And look, I joke, but like at the end of the day, this studio can do whatever they want. This wasn't going to be a Minecraft 2. It was going to be a spiritual successor. Like, the only people that can make a Minecraft 2 at this point are Microsoft and Mojang. You know, so while Notch and his studio go off to make Levers and Chest, I wish them all the success in the world, make a killer game, dent the universe again, and make another $2.5 billion. I wish you nothing but success. However, I do have to wonder if after seeing the hype this week, if Microsoft is sitting in a boardroom right now like, boys, it might be time. Right? Let's give it a little refresh. Let's dust off those cobwebs, maybe put it in 4K. You know, let's get some bigger biomes in the game. Let's put some new materials. More importantly, a new $70 entry fee, of course. Am I right, guys? Let's go, boys. We're making Minecraft 2. Geforce Now is coming to the Steam Deck and Meta Quest headsets. Yeah, NVIDIA's cloud gaming platform is celebrating a big week. If you missed it, the company announced 2 new devices that the service would be coming to at CES this week. And, you know, like outside of the fembots and the new vacuum cleaners and the roll-up monitors, Geforce Now had a really good CES. Like everywhere I looked, I felt like I was seeing an NVIDIA announcement or a Geforce Now post. But the things that really interest me are the ones that surround their cloud gaming platform. And if you're not aware, Geforce Now is one of the industry's most premier cloud gaming platforms in the industry. The service will stream games via the cloud that you already own from platforms like Steam, Xbox, or the Epic Games Store. And essentially, you're renting the hardware that you play these games on, and then you can stream the game to your TV, laptop, phone, tablet, PC, streaming stick, or whatever. And I feel like cloud gaming is kind of like in this weird spot where we already assume that the device can run cloud gaming, right? Like if it has a browser, it can run cloud gaming. Your Samsung TVs, your LG fridges, your Facebook portals. If it has a web browser, you can play cloud gaming on it. Like it's just a screen and a browser is all you need. But when we get these official announcements, I don't know, it kind of feels kind of special because they're like, yeah, you're not trying to like backdoor this. It actually works and we support it. Now the 2 devices announced this week. The first one is that Geforce Now will be getting a native app on the Steam Deck in late 2025. And essentially this partnership with Valve allows Geforce Now to stream games from your Steam library to your Steam Deck at GeForce RTX quality. And of course the asterisk, like any cloud gaming platform, should be as long as you have good Wi-Fi. And look, I joke, but like, I love this for the Steam Deck. I think that Geforce Now coming to the Steam Deck is huge because, you know, you look at the size of games and hard drive. Like one of my least favorite things about gaming is like uninstalling a game to play another game. And then like 2 weeks later, I'm like, oh, I still want to play that game. And then I have to reinstall it and I don't get to play it. Cloud gaming takes care of that completely. And like the other side of this is with Geforce Now. I was reading that if you put the Steam Deck in dock mode and you plug it into your TV, you're getting 4K 60 frames per second. Like the Steam Deck just became so much more appealing as a device because of this service. And I think that that is huge. Now, as part of CES, NVIDIA also revealed that Geforce Now would be coming to headsets like the Apple Vision, Meta Quest 3 and 3S, and Pico headsets, which are people still buying the Apple Vision headsets? Last I read, I thought like Apple was like, we're stopping manufacturing. I mean, who would have thought? $3,500, man, everyone's gonna buy it. Nope, turns out a couple people buy it. $3,500 like a mortgage payment, like for some people in America. For me, that's like 2 months of my mortgage. There's no chance I'm buying a headset. But the Meta Quest 3 headset announcement for Geforce Now does have me very excited. I travel with my Meta Quest 3 everywhere I go. The Xbox Cloud Gaming app runs really well, but overall, it's just a very solid device. And the fact that Geforce Now is going to drop an app on this and I can stream video games to it with no lag, because let's face it, Geforce Now and Xbox Cloud Gaming, when you compare them, the lag is significantly less on Geforce Now. I don't know what they've done with their service, but it is so much better than Xbox Cloud Gaming. So having that and having the PC essentially like Cloud Link or the Stream Link or the Steam Link that you have. This is what this service is going to be providing for the headset, and I think it's huge. Now, another important thing to point out here is the GeForce Now app will be arriving on these headsets by the end of the month, and it will include a personal gaming theater, which I personally want them to expand on this, both Xbox and GeForce Now. I think when you play cloud games on your headset, it's fun to have like the augmented reality experience where like your screen is there and your dog's over there and you're playing, right? But like the virtual theater experiences, I feel like have the potential to be so cool, and they're super untapped. Like imagine if you're playing a GeForce Now game and you're playing in a theater that's like at the Red Rock Theater, and you're just surrounded by these beautiful red rocks and gorgeous blue skies. And then, you know, maybe you're playing it in space. And then maybe for like a little like mood setting, like you're playing in the swamps, right? Like you're playing a video game, it's dark, the fireflies are going off, you got frogs croaking in the background, gator eyes are reflecting in the distance. That I think would be cool. I really do hope these platforms begin to like expand the virtual experiences, because you could get really creative with that. But anyway, big news for GeForce Now. Congratulations to the team over at NVIDIA. You had a very, very successful CES this week, and these are really cool expansions. And I guess what interests me is like how much of the needle will this push? Like, will this bring new subscribers to GeForce Now, or is this just going to be like something that current subscribers can participate in? So either way, we'll obviously be talking about this more in the future, testing this out on the MetaQuest here on the channel, so stay tuned for that. Marvel Rivals' first season of content has officially arrived. Yes, this is a big week for Marvel Rivals fans. We got brand new content, we got a brand new Battle Pass. This week also marked the arrival of a Sue Storm Malice skin, which, dear God, you know, stuff like that makes me so proud to be an American. That's right, this week started off with the Season 1 teaser trailer showing off the story that we can expect from this season, where Dracula traps Doctor Strange in the astral plane, scattering the Darkhold pages, disrupting the moon's orbit, and plunging New York City into an eternal night. But never fear, the Fantastic Four, Marvel's first family, has showed up to fight Dracula and break the mystical darkness with science. That might be the most nerdiest Marvel thing that I have ever read on this show. The astral plane, the Darkhold pages, plunged into an eternal night. And look, in all seriousness, I am a big fan of spooky content, and this season is chocked full of it. The new map looks absolutely sick. The new skins are dope, and Marvel Rivals really does seem like they're continuing to build on the success that they saw in 2024, so kudos to them. And, you know, like with any new season, with any video game these days, it's assumed that we get a Battle Pass, and with Season 1, it'll be no different. Marvel Rivals Season 1 Battle Pass will be titled Darkhold. Essentially, the Darkhold contains two powerful spells that have aroused the interest in opposing forces. The first being the Vampiric Verses that can create creatures of the night, and the second are the Montesi formula, which essentially just like eliminate those creatures. The Battle Pass also includes 10 new skins and a bunch of in-game cosmetics. And look, these skins are dope, right? I mean, they are really, really sick. You got Rocket Raccoon looking absolutely dapper as F. Scarlet Witch just tearing it up with that outfit. Loki looking like he's just straight going to war. And then you got Wolverine. And Wolverine legit looks like he's supposed to be like having a cameo in like The Hunt 1896, but like, the skins are cool. These are very cool updates, so good job on those. And personally, I absolutely love everything surrounding this season, and I think that NetEase has done a really good job, not only like developing it, but also like building hype for this season, because there are a lot of people excited about this, and it's going to be really interesting to see how Marvel Rivals continues 2025, because you got some big games coming out this year, right? Doom Dark Ages. You got Grand Theft Auto 6. Obviously, we got a new Mario Kart coming reportedly, and ooh. Oh man. Can you imagine? Switch 2 announcement coming here in a couple weeks. Can you imagine if Marvel Rivals 2 is a launch title for the Switch 2? That has to happen, right? Like the Switch 2 is going to come out and it's like, here are the games that are going to be available at launch. Marvel Rivals, top tier. That has to happen. I hope to God we see it, because that would be such a great game for that device, and it would create so many new players, and just the easeability of being able to play it would be huge. But anyway, Marvel Rivals Season 1, The Eternal Nightfalls, is available right now. Check it out. Xbox just revealed a brand new developer direct that's going to be taking place on January 23rd. And look, the bar is set very high because the last developer direct was so good. I I genuinely love this strategy for Xbox. Like, these events allow the developers to communicate directly to the fans. They can have long-form discussions with players. It's not like a 2-minute trailer. It's like, no, you're getting the opportunity to explain the intricacies, what to expect, and also, like, what the players should be doing at launch. Like, I don't know if they intended this, but it kills any, like, speculation or any, like, disappointment because, like, they're telling you what this game is. Now, the next chapter of the Developer Direct will be headlined by id Software, Compulsion Games, Sandfall Interactive, and one surprise studio showing off a brand new game. I cannot wait for a new Doom game, man. Like, I don't know what it is or, like, what is going on in my life, but, like, just the idea of playing Doom and, like, the heavy metal music, this is what I need right now. Like, I just feel like I need some ripping and some tearing and some absolute carnage and just killing demons and unbridled violence. Like, that is where I'm at right now, and it's like, I can't wait. I feel like my soul is longing for a new Doom game. I don't know what's going on, but, like, I want it. I want this game so badly. Plus, there are so many questions surrounding Doom Dark Ages for me. Like, we briefly saw Sword and Shield combat during the trailer, but, like, what's that going to be like? At one point, Doom Slayer's flying on the back of a dragon. What is that? Is it open world, or is that just one part of the game? Plus, when is this game coming out? We know it's 2025, but it's like March, February, April, or am I waiting to the end of the year to play this game? Cannot wait for Dark Ages. Now, the next studio attending will be Compulsion Games. They will be showing off a game called South of Midnight, which is this awesome-looking action-adventure game based in the deep south of America, creating this awesome spellbinding world of the southern folklore. And recently, we had, like, gameplay footage come out of this game, and it really surprised me. Like, I don't know what I was expecting from this game, but when I saw this, I was like, man, this might be the sleeper hit of 2025. And I guess the trailer did its job, right? It, like, left me wanting more information about it, and I'm excited to hear more. So, yes, Doom is, like, the top tier for me, but, like, South of Midnight, definitely right up there. The third studio attending is Sandfall Interactive. They're going to be showing off Claire Obscure Expedition 33, which is a turn-based RPG based off the Belle Epoque period of France. And this game, based off the trailer, is giving me, like, major Final Fantasy X vibes, and the team has claimed you'll be able to create, like, unique builds that meet your play style, and it will also have, like, rhythm-based chain combos. Personally, like, JRPGs, not really my bag. You know, something about turn-based, I don't know if I've grown out of it, or it's just, like, because my life is so confined and I don't have a lot of time that I'm like, I want to go. But, like, JRPGs aren't for me, and I'm really hoping something during this direct, like, hooks me in. And I'm like, oh, I'll play this. I'll 100% play this. So this is probably the one that has the most potential for me. Of course, the final one is going to be a surprise. The fourth entry is a mystery from Xbox. And, you know, in the past, we've always seen, like, shadow drops. So it would be cool to see Xbox shadow drop a video game. But, like, when I'm thinking about what it could be, I genuinely don't know. Like, I know we've talked about, like, Oblivion, the remake, and how that was in the works. And that was kind of like what came out a couple weeks ago, and it was, like, tied into this. But then what threw me off of that was, like, Jez Corden posted over on X this week, and he's like, I don't think people are ready for what this is going to be. Like, it's not going to be what people are thinking, and it's not the Oblivion remake. It's going to be big. And I'm like, man, what is it? Like, could it be Halo? Could it be something else? Like, I don't know. I'm really interested to hear it. I guess what Jez posted just, like, threw me off, right? Like, I'm like, okay, maybe it's not Oblivion. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's Halo Master Chief Collection coming to PlayStation or some other red herring. But anyway, this is going to be a big event for Xbox. We are going to be covering it very closely as it develops. But yeah, Xbox's 2025 Developer Direct is going to be taking part on January 23rd at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Nintendo has officially revealed the long-awaited Nintendo Switch 2. And boy, do I have some opinions on this one, because after months of built-up anticipation, weeks of leaks and rumors, and is this photo real? Is this motherboard actually the Nintendo Switch 2? We finally saw it. And I feel like in order to do this properly, right, let's break out the popcorn and let's enjoy the excitement that is the Nintendo Switch 2. That's right, in case you are the 1% of humans who missed this announcement this week, Nintendo has dropped a brand new trailer for the Nintendo Switch 2, showing off the device's larger screen, improved Joy-Cons, and while the trailer does include plenty of new looks at the physical console, it fails to mention anything about specifications, hardware, or release dates. Wait a minute. That's it? That's all he talked about? What about the C button? What about whether it's LCD or OLED? I mean, what about the screen? You're telling me you're only going to give me 2 minutes of content, Nintendo? Look, I'm not one to complain, but it took me longer to pop this bag of popcorn for a joke than it did to watch your trailer. Guess we're not going to need this now. Now, to Nintendo's credit, the trailer did show off that not only will the Switch 2 have a larger screen, but the bezel has been reduced on all edges, allowing for more display. The back of the Nintendo Switch 2 will have a new U-shaped kickstand that will greatly improve the current Switch experience. The Joy-Cons have been elongated and feature a new magnetic attachment system, along with showcasing the ability of the Nintendo Joy-Cons being used and moved similar to a computer's mouse. The Nintendo Switch dock will be returning with improvements as well, and in the trailer we can see that the dock has received some curved edges, and like its predecessor, the Switch 2 will come with the Joy-Con controller mount, which creates a universal controller for players who want to play in docked mode. Nintendo closed out the reveal by teasing a 2025 release date, a Switch 2 Direct on April 2nd of 2025, and Switch 2 experiences taking place around the world. And look, I'm hyped, right? We finally got our first look at the Nintendo Switch, but I still have a ton of questions. Is it LCD or OLED? What type of performance can we expect from the Nintendo Switch 2? What features does the Switch 2 have that its predecessor doesn't? And look, I understand that a lot of those questions are probably going to be addressed during the upcoming Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, but I think I speak for the entire internet when I say, I want it now, Nintendo. But it is funny because I've seen like a lot of people look at this reveal and they're like, I didn't like it. Or like, the reveal wasn't good. And I don't know if I like totally agree with that because I think that Nintendo did like a good job overall making the video and like showing off the new device. But I think where a lot of the disconnect is happening here is like for Nintendo, this was their introduction to the mass population of like, hey, this is the Switch 2. But for those of us here on the internet, myself included, a lot of us had that introduction months ago. I mean, we've been talking about the Switch 2 almost every single week since the beginning of November. So in many ways, I can understand the frustration of like, why are we having appetizers? I've been sitting at this table for hours. Give me my dessert! But jokes aside, I still do think that this was a very good reveal for Nintendo, right? Like, they showed off the console and they ended it with people having questions. And I think anybody in marketing, like, that's what you want to have. And I've also seen a lot of people get mad about, like, we don't have a release date and we don't have pricing. And I think that Nintendo has to play it safe here because I think that if you look at, like, what's happening globally, you can't just like launch a price, right? Like especially Nintendo of America. You know, the incoming administration is very, very adamant that they want tariffs, and those tariffs are going to impact chips, they're going to impact consoles, they're going to impact pretty much everything. And so I would guarantee you that Nintendo America is playing it very close to the chest here because they don't want to launch a console and then have to like 2 months later be like, sorry, it actually cost you $150 more than it did before. And the tariffs are really interesting here because nobody really knows like how high or low that they could be. In fact, the next election cycle, it might get so crazy that the Democrats come out and they're like, ask not how much your Switch 2 should be, ask how much less it will be if you vote for me. I will say though, registration for the Switch 2 event in Dallas went live yesterday. And I registered because I would like to attend this event. I would love to get some hands-on time with the Switch 2. It was very frustrating in the beginning because their site was definitely not prepared for the traffic, which blows my mind. Like, Nintendo hasn't released a console in almost a decade now, and they put up a website and they're like, come check out the new console. And then like, first second crashed. And it literally took about 15 minutes for me to be able to get my place in line to hopefully get a ticket here. And what's frustrating is like in the thing it says like, hey, it doesn't matter if you're first, we're just gonna randomly pick people. And like my buddy later in the night did the registration. He was like, yeah, had no issue. I got straight in. So I'm like, okay, fingers crossed we get there. Plus the other cool thing about this event is like, not only do you get to see the Switch 2, but like it is guaranteed to be nuts. I mean, I'm talking people camping out for days, people playing the Nintendo Switch with their friends while they're waiting in line, probably a whole bunch of them who haven't showered in like a month. And then another group that's just like mainlining G Fuel in order to stay up for the event. I just want to be a part of that. Like, that just sounds so incredible. And meanwhile, there's gonna be like drones flying overhead, and you're just going, and we're all gonna be like, "Hey, look at us, we're on TV." But in reality, we're not on TV. Those are just like the Nintendo execs just sitting in their office being like, "Dance, my minions. Dance, my minions. Dance." But anyways, shout out to Nintendo. The Switch 2 revealed this week, and it was super cool. And next time we will be hearing from Nintendo in regards to the Switch 2. It will be on April 2nd of 2025. 74 days and counting. Because can't wait. We've already waited 14 years. Why not wait a little bit longer? So anyway, we will obviously be updating y'all on the channel as news drops, and we'll be doing a huge amount of coverage as the Switch comes out, doing videos and showcases, so make sure to stick here for more Nintendo Switch news. The Pokemon trading card game Pocket just dropped the first details surrounding in-game trading. And I have some very big feelings about this one, but just in case you're new to the game, Pokemon trading card game Pocket is a mobile video game which pretty much digitalized the entire Pokemon trading card game experience. And I am straight up addicted to this game. I mean, I am constantly like opening packs. I gotta do my Wonder Pick. I'm easily checking this app like 5 times a day. And trading has been the feature that admittedly has been missing since the game launched. And luckily we're not going to have to wait much longer because the official Pokemon TCGP account over on X dropped the first details, and let's break these down together. The account posted, "Today we want to provide more detail on the new trade feature coming your way this month. Here are a few highlights you can look forward to. Trades can be done between friends. Trades can be done with cards of same rarity. At the time of trade feature launch, certain cards from the Genetic Apex and Mythical Island booster packs will be able to be traded. We are planning to continue to expand the selection of booster packs that you can trade from. Cards with rarity of 1 diamond to 4 diamond and 1 star can be traded. Items must be consumed in order to trade, and we'll continue to monitor player feedback and assess future updates to the trade feature while keeping in mind how to balance both the ease and enjoyability of collecting." Which, boy, that is a lot of restrictions to trading for a game that literally has trading in its title. I mean, not being able to trade rare cards is absolutely ridiculous. I have 30 plus executes right now, right? And I got those because I opened packs trying to get rare cards. I'm not gonna trade 30 executes, right? I don't need any more executes. If I want more executes, I'll go open some packs. I'm using trades to get the rarest cards. I mean, that announcement feels so anti-collector from a player-based standpoint. Plus, the other thing that made me laugh, items must be consumed in order to trade. Or in other words, you're gonna have to give me money every single time you want to access trading. Like, how are you going to charge me and then still hold features back behind the paywall? If you're gonna make me pay to trade, I better have no limits on what I can trade. I should be able to trade the highest rarity possible if you're gonna charge me. The other thing, and I'm reading this again, also, cards can be traded, but they need to be the same level. What type of friend does that, right? Like, if I'm giving my friend a rare card, I'm not gonna say, "You need to give me a rare card back." No, give me a Pidgey, right? Like, I'm helping you out because you're my friend. I'm trading with my friend. And that's what friends do. You give them rare cards for crap commons. And I guess from my perspective as someone that plays this on a daily basis, this is a bummer, right? Like, I'm not gonna trade now. Like, this is not worth it. And I'm clearly not the other one. If you go through the responses to this, no one's happy about this. And to the developers' credit, they did respond to some of the outrage, posting on X saying, "Thank you everyone for your immediate thoughts on this topic. Your concerns are seen. Once this feature becomes available, I'd like to invite everyone to try it and provide feedback. This way, the game can continue to evolve in a way enjoyable for everyone to play. Prayer hands." And for those of you who need that translated into English. Keep on crying, babies. We just generated $400 million on digital cards that if we take this game off the market, you have nothing. Yeah, we're not changing jack shit. I don't know. It's hard for me because I am kind of in a weird place with this game. I was explaining it to my friend, like I play this every single day, right? I'm constantly opening packs, but my luck has been so terrible. And my attitude towards this game is directly impacted by my luck, right? Like, I feel like every single day, all I get is commons. I haven't gotten like a good rare card. And if it is a rare card, it's the same freaking rare card every single time. Like, I legit feel like Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket goes through seasons. Like, the beginning of the month, they're like, let's give everybody the best cards possible. Or anything that cool happens, they're like, let's give people cards so we get the hooks in. And then as the month goes, my packs just get worse and worse and worse and worse. And here we are midway through January. And I'm like, I haven't had a good pack in like 2 weeks. And I don't know, like I can't prove that that's actually happening, but like having played the game for the past like 2.5 months, it definitely feels like I go weeks where I get nothing. And right when I'm about to uninstall the game, I get like a great pack. And I'm like, this game is great. If anything, I think that just shows that I'm addicted to it. So I don't know. Reading this announcement of like trading and the restrictions that they're putting in and like my frustrations that I have with everything on like getting so many commons, I'm very close to uninstalling this game. I haven't done it yet. I'm still an addict, but I haven't done it, but I'm very close. And I mean, really, the only saving grace from this announcement was that new booster packs are coming. So like the initial like, oh, I don't have this card, that's going away because once I start opening new packs, everything's new. But what's different is I look at this new series of packs and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be spending money, right? I'll probably just do like one free pack a day. I don't know if I'm going to be putting money towards it. If all I'm getting is Punitas and Rattatas and Executes. Like, thank you so much for these cards, and I have 30 of now. I'm so appreciative. But anyway, we will be paying close attention to the Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket Trade feature as it launches. PlayStation has reportedly canceled 2 more video games this week. Yeah, this news comes from Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, who essentially wrote a piece this week that says that both Sony's Bluepoint Games and Sony Bend Studio were working on live service games that are now canceled. Now, a key point to mention here, neither of these studios will be shuttered. In fact, a spokesperson spoke to Jason Schreier saying, Sony Bend and Sony Bluepoint are highly accomplished teams who are valued members of the PlayStation Studio family, and we are working closely with each studio to determine what are the next projects. And this might be obvious for some, but like, this is clearly the fault of Concord. I mean, anytime a company loses nearly $400 million on one game, you gotta believe that they are going studio from studio and just being like, is anyone gonna play this game? And again, I definitely feel like this is warranted to say because while Sony failed with Concord, they did succeed with Helldivers 2. So it's like, they've got 2 good cases of where to find some middle ground, and I've got to assume that like, they're trying to figure out what was the key of success and where to double down on that. Now, as far as like what these games actually were, it was reported that Sony's Bluepoint was working on a live service game that was set in the God of War universe, while Sony Bend was making a sci-fi live service video game as well. But following internal reviews by Sony, PlayStation decided to ultimately shut them down. And look, I feel like this is as good as a time as any to say this, but for the love of God, just let Sony Bend make a Days Gone 2. Like, forget the live services, get back to Days Gone. That game was so underrated, and today it still stands as one of the single greatest zombie video games that has ever been made, and it blows my mind how Sony does not see this. Like, Sony, please, if you're watching, let's zoom this in real quick. If you want to make $1 billion this next generation, let me help. Days Gone 2, SOCOM, The Order 1886 2, Uncharted 5, A New Killzone, and Last of Us 3. Boom! I just made you $1 billion. And it's honestly frustrating because Sony has spent so much time and resources on these video games just to cancel them. I mean, we found out that the Spider-Man Multiverse multiplayer video game got canceled. Obviously, Naughty Dog canceled their Last of Us multiplayer video game. Concord, who could forget that? The God of War multiplayer game that Bluepoint was working on has been canceled. Foam Stars is winding down, and Destruction All-Star, for the love of God, let's just not even talk about that video game. And I guess, I mean, this is just another story that makes me question PlayStation leadership. Like, yes, live services are important, but who the hell greenlit Destruction All-Stars instead of the Order 1886 sequel? And I guess I'm really conflicted here, right? Because live services, there are fun live service video games. Helldivers is a prime example. It's a live service game that does not feel like a live service. And you know, Sony is working on a Horizon Zero Dawn MMO. And they're already saying like they want to hit 1 million players with that. But like, I also look at that and I'm like, I pray to God that doesn't flop. Because MMOs are so hard to stick the landing that I genuinely hope that Sony takes their time and they do not rush it. And I guess again, I'm like, yes, MMOs are cool, but like, I would have been cool with the SOCOM. Just saying. But anyway, rough few years for Sony, and I genuinely wish them luck. I hope you guys can turn it around and that this MMO is absolutely incredible. But that's going to obviously take a while before it releases, so let's talk about something that's available a lot sooner. Will Nintendo appear during Xbox's Developer Direct? Yeah, Xbox has a huge Developer Direct next week, and I have the slight suspicion that we might see Nintendo pop up as part of this Direct. And look, in case you're not familiar, the Xbox Developer Directs are these really cool showcases where developers from Xbox Game Studios get the opportunity to discuss their games, show off unique features, but more importantly, control the narrative of what players should expect and kind of like damper expectations so they don't get too out of control. And for this year's Direct, we have a very solid lineup, including the likes of Doom, Dark Ages, Claire, Obscure, Expedition 33, and South of Midnight. All of those games will be in attendance, but we also have a mystery spot, which has caused like a ton of speculation. And some have said that this game will be the long-rumored Elden Ring 4 Oblivion remake that we know it's already being made by Bethesda. We know it's supposed to launch sometime in 2025, so they might be using this as the opportunity to talk it. But like, when I think of things that are also possible, I think that we have a really good chance to see some Nintendo announcements during this Direct. Because remember, last year, we saw Xbox begin their multi-platform strategy. And we know that going into 2025, Xbox has plans to bring games like Halo and Hellblade, along with many others, to PlayStation and to Nintendo. And all I'm saying is, what bigger announcement could there be for Xbox than announcing that some of their games are coming to the Nintendo Switch 2 at launch? And I mean, hey, they're not going to show the Nintendo Switch console or the games running on the console, but Phil Spencer can come out and be like, hey, Switch 2 fans, guess what? Halo Master Chief Collection, Call of Duty, Spyro, and a bunch of other video games are going to be available on the Switch 2 at launch. And keep in mind, Phil Spencer has already said that his goal is to get Call of Duty games on Nintendo, and like, what if during the Direct we see Activision show up and they're like, hey, here's our new zombie map, but also, one more thing. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is coming to the Nintendo Switch 2 at launch for the first time in a long time. Like, yeah, that would be so cool. And I don't really think it's that crazy of a prediction. Like, I feel like that's very conservative and very safe. I mean, if we wanted to get crazy, I'd be like, put Phil Spencer out there and be like, Game Pass will be on the Switch 2 at launch. I mean, imagine a game like Microsoft Flight Simulator running on the Switch 2 via the cloud, or playing Indiana Jones and the Great Circle on the Switch 2. That'd be sick. Especially if you had like cross progression, but I don't know. The idea of Xbox being on the Switch 2, it just fits their mentality right now, right? Xbox's goal is that they want to be everywhere and they want you to play anywhere. And personally, I would love to see it. Like, I'd love to see like 10 or 12 Xbox Studio titles be available on the Switch 2 at launch. Nintendo gave gamers their first look at Mario Kart 9 this week. Yeah, this was part of the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal this week. During the trailer, we saw gameplay footage of a Mario Kart game running on the Switch 2, which has led to many on the internet saying that this is the long-rumored next chapter Mario Kart 9 launch title for the console. But just for a second, if it's not, Could you imagine the audacity of Nintendo to be like, it's not Mario Kart 9, it's Mario Kart 8 Super Mega Deluxe Edition. You loved the game so much, we decided to give it to you one more time. I mean, I joke, but like, we all know that could happen. Now, the Mario Kart 9 reveal, much like the Switch 2 reveal, was brief, but it didn't stop the internet from watching it frame by frame to hyper-analyze whatever details were possible. And of course, there was a lot of things in this 20-second clip that I didn't notice, but shout out to the internet. They found things like the Mario Kart 9 trailer included the return of Mario Kart TV, MKTV from Mario Kart 8. Mario Kart 9 will also see the return of Mario, Luigi, Wario, Waluigi, Bowser, Yoshi, Toad, Peach, Daisy, Rosalina, Paulina, and Donkey Kong, along with the likes of Baby Mario, Baby Luigi, and Toadette being playable characters. However, that's not the end of the speculation, because this next one I think is very interesting, as player lobbies could also be expanding, with players noticing that the starting lines of the races include 24 spots, which would be massive. I mean, 24 player lobbies would be absolutely chaotic. I mean, just imagine the amount of bananas that there are now and just double it. A crap ton of bananas, crap ton of blue shells just flying all over the place. Sign me up. That's the type of chaos that I want in my life right now. And of course, I'm just speculating here, but 24 player lobbies would also mean that we would probably see the largest roster of racers yet. I mean, Mario Kart 8 had 36 playable characters, but I've got to assume that we're going to see many more characters added to the game. Now, keep in mind, we only saw this video game for 20 seconds, but still, based off the footage that we saw, Mario Kart 9 looks super solid, and seeing that the next Nintendo Direct will be taking place in April, I've got to assume we'll be seeing more about this game at that event. We got some big Assassin's Creed Shadow news this week. I mean, we got new trailers and gameplay footage, and it's fascinating to me because Ubisoft is in a very interesting place right now. If you look at like the story of Assassin's Creed Shadow, they dropped the initial trailer and there was backlash upon backlash. I mean, the initial introduction definitely did not go with where they expected. People were upset by like cultural representation, a false narrative, and just like historical inaccuracies in this game. But when you also look at Ubisoft as a company, Assassin's Creed Shadow very much represents the next game in Ubisoft's rocky launch schedule, right? Let's go back a little bit. Star Wars Outlaws was met with mixed reviews and disappointing sales returns. X-Defiant was recently announced as being shut down by Ubisoft for not garnering an audience. Skull and Bones has struggled to gain a mainstream audience, and Avatar Frontiers of Pandora was met with some praise, but a lot of players were expressing disappointment with the game. So in many ways, it's not hard to paint this story as like Ubisoft, a company who has had multiple losses over the past couple years. They've had a lot of layoffs. Studios have been shut down. They've had internal restructuring. They have to be looking at Assassin's Creed Shadow as a make or break video game for the company, which is why I think you could easily make the argument that Assassin's Creed Shadow has been delayed. I mean, remember, this game was supposed to launch in late 2024, but now we're looking at like early 2025. And I have to say that like, based off everything we saw this week, my opinion on this video game has changed drastically, and I'm actually really more excited for Assassin's Creed Shadow than I was previously. And as we mentioned, I mean, Ubisoft dropped a brand new story trailer, and in this trailer, we get to see like two opposing sides of the story, right? They're fighting it out in feudal Japan, and on one hand, you have like a shinobi, and on the other hand, you have a samurai, and they end up teaming up to like bring justice across Japan. And this trailer was only 2 minutes long, but like, it was definitely the best trailer for this game that I think I've seen in quite some time. I mean, the story seems like it's one of the better Assassin's Creed stories in recent years, and plus the gameplay that we're kind of getting glimpses of in this trailer of being an assassin as a shinobi, I feel like is so sick. Like, I feel like it's the culmination of being an assassin. It didn't really make sense as like a pirate. It kind of made sense as like a Greek Roman Empire type of era. Okay, I can kind of get it in the Egyptian era. As a like Japanese shinobi type of like character, I think this looks so sick. And so as you're seeing like in this trailer, we also get an extended look at like Noe and also Yasuke, who are the two stories of the game. And like Yasuke is the samurai and he goes through like adversity and he ends up like gaining favor among the other samurais to get it. And Naue is basically kind of going up through the ranks and defending the honor of her entire clan. So the trailer, I mean, definitely does a good job. This trailer got me excited. It intrigues me in the story, and it definitely has me looking forward to the game a hell of a lot more than I was a couple weeks ago. I mean, it's definitely not Ghost of Tsushima. I think that's a very thing to make, but like, I'll still play this game. I think it still looks good. And then, so you take the game trailer, and then I'm assuming this was strategic, but then like IGN and all these other influencers and creators began to release like their previews and hands-on time with Assassin's Creed Shadow. Specifically, IGN's Alessandro Filari shared 10 minutes of gameplay. And one of the big takeaways I had while watching this was like, man, these executions are going to be brutal. Like so many times during this trailer, I just saw people just losing their heads. And, you know, it's so sick. And at one time, there's like a guy who's just being brutally dealt with. And I'm curious of how much they expand that, right? Like, do we get more than one execution style? How does that expand with your weapons? I think that's going to be a lot of fun. But another key takeaway based off the gameplay is that Shadows will allow you to have two different styles of gameplay, right? The Shinobi Assassin will still be like a stealth style gameplay, whereas like the Samurai seems very much like a hack and slash kind of like parry style of gameplay. And what was interesting is based off what we're seeing here from Alessandro is that you can basically choose which game you want, right? Like during the missions, they allow you to choose between the Samurai and the Shinobi, and I think that's a really cool concept for this game that I didn't expect, because I was honestly thinking they were going to force certain play styles and certain narratives through the game, so I think it's intriguing. Another takeaway, and it's not like a big deal, but like having played Star Wars Outlaws has kind of become apparent to me, but the AI opponents or your enemies in game, they don't seem dumb. Like they seem very aware of their surrounding, and like they seems like it's going to be like a tough opponent to kind of deal with when you're trying to do stealth or you're trying to fight in the scenarios. But the other thing I was like, oh, definitely didn't think this game was going to have it. Assassin's Creed Shadow is going to have like a base building system. Yeah, and they showed off like you can pick cats, dogs, you know, Zen structures, and IGN even said it's like very Animal Crossing, and I was like, man, I don't know if I would have expected that, but anyway. And maybe I spoke too soon because like looking back at this, I mean, I think the biggest takeaway from all of this was IGN saying that like even though the game had bugs and quirks, it was still enjoyable. And I think that that's something we forget, right? Like we want perfection in video games, obviously. But even though a game has bugs or quirks doesn't mean it's not a fun game. So the fact that it's fun has me interested. And I don't know. I guess like controversy aside, Assassin's Creed Shadow definitely looks appealing. You know, I absolutely loved Ghost of Tsushima. And after that game, I remember saying like, wow, we need more samurai video games out there. We need more narratives and stories that are based in this world. And I think it's cool that we're getting it from an Assassin's Creed story. But I'm also at a point with like open world video games where I'm like, my exhaustion level is so easily triggered. Like maybe it's because I'm a dad and my gaming life has just been completely condensed through like activities and putting the kids to bed, and I don't have as much time to play games as much as I did in the past. But the idea of playing a 40-hour open world RPG with thousands of quests on the outside, if I'm going to do that and I'm going to invest all that energy and time into that game, it has to be so good. And the story has to be as equally as good as the gameplay. And admittedly, that's why Ghost of Tsushima got me. Like, Ghost of Tsushima, it's a great game. It's a very solid game, but the story is where I was like, man, this is a great game. And that's my hope here, is like, based off the story trailer we saw from Assassin's Creed Shadow, you can tell like they're weaving a narrative, but if the gameplay works, if the game is fun, and the story is appealing, yeah, I'll check this game out. I'll definitely play it. And yeah, I think when I like look back at like Assassin's Creed games, and like the games that I've played and the games that I've completed, there have been good Assassin's Creed games, but then there's also been like okay games, right? Like, but when I think back of like why I completed Assassin's Creed Black Flag or Origins or Odyssey, it was due to me being invested into the story. Like I liked the character. I wanted to continue going on. And I think that might be my biggest wish for this video game is like the moment that I turn it on, it just comes out swinging and it gets its hooks in me, and I'll play it for the next couple months, and then I get to come on this show and be like, I beat it. I beat one game over the last 2 months, but I don't know. I made a joke to my buddy the other night. We were talking about Assassin's Creed Shadow, and I was like, yeah, I'll definitely check it out. I think where I am now is like, do I buy the game or do I just like subscribe to Ubisoft Plus? Because Ubisoft Plus is $17 a month. It's kind of a very low minimum barrier of entry for the game, so I can play the game, get my experience, test the waters. Do I want to buy it? And if I like it, I'll buy it. Or if I can beat the game in a month, hey, I only spent $17 on this game, and I feel like that's a less of a commitment. But either way, I'm definitely more interested in Assassin's Creed Shadow this week than I was before. And Ubisoft did close out all of this news by saying that the game will be dropping on March 20th of 2025 for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, Amazon Luna, Ubisoft Plus, Mac, PC, Steam, Epic Games Store, and the iPad. Otherwise, everywhere that you can play video games except Nintendo and the Intellivision Amico. Xbox and id Software gave us an extended look at the upcoming game, Doom: The Dark Ages, and oh buddy, I am so excited for this game. Like maybe it's just like pent-up gamer rage. I don't know, maybe it's like the G Fuel that's like running through my veins right now, but like I am so ready for a brand new Doom game. Give me the heavy metal, give me the demon slaying, the head ripping, the spine tearing, throat punching, the no apologies gameplay. Like, not to take away anything from any other game right now, but there's just something about Doomslayer coming back, and just the amount of unbridled violence that I know that this game is going to have. It literally has me walking into rooms like, move out of the way, children, put your Fortnite away. Daddy is about to play some Doom. Now, in case you missed it, the Doom Dark Ages reveal was part of the Xbox Developer Direct, which pretty much allowed developers to have an extended conversation about the games that they are working on. And id Software started off their portion of this game by pretty much confirming that Doom: The Dark Ages will be a prequel to the modern era Doom games and will serve as an entry point to new players, which raised a really interesting question here in the studio. It's like, with so many Doom games now, where do you start? Right? Or do you go like OG hipster and you're like, you gotta play the originals, man, they're so good? Or do you just forget that and say, no, 2016, it's a great starting point, try there, and if you like it, check out all the other ones? Or do you ride the dark horse and just say, no, start with Mighty Doom. That's the game you gotta play. Now, id Software did spend a good portion of this direct talking about gameplay and in-game combat specifically. And in Doom: The Dark Ages, your in-game combat will feel heavy. You're gonna feel strong, but it's still gonna capture the fast-paced gameplay Doom fans have expected. In fact, at one point they said like, hey, Doom 2016, our goal was for you to like run and gun. And in Doom Eternal, we wanted you to run, gun, and pretty much like jump everywhere. Whereas in Doom: The Dark Ages, it's gonna feel more grounded. We want you to like stand your ground and just destroy as many demons as possible. And I absolutely love that. Now, perfect segue, because what would a Doom video game be without weapons? And Doom: The Dark Ages is getting some pretty cool stuff. First up, we're going to be getting a shield saw. And this thing is designed to like block, you can throw it, you can parry, you can deflect things, you can teleport. It looks like it's really going to be like a very impactful weapon for the game that we haven't seen in previous Dooms. And I think it could create some like really cool combos. Like I'm already looking forward to like the TikTok kill combos where we just see people going ham in this game. But the other thing they talked about was like melee options. So in one hand you'll have your shield, but in the other one you got your gun or you got a melee option. And the first thing they talked about was a flail, which admittedly I had to Google what a flail was, because like I, for the longest time, thought that this was a mace. You got a stick, you got a chain, you got a spike ball. I legit thought that was a mace. Turns out my entire life I've been wrong about this. It's a flail, so apologies to the internet. But I also think like this is, as far as weapons go, maybe one of the most inconvenient weapons. Like you've got it, it's got a chain, it's got a heavy ball. It's like, what are you really gonna do? I mean, someone with a knife or a sword or an axe can just take care of you, but in the hands of Doomslayer, it looks extremely deadly. The other weapons that you're going to have as melee is you're going to have electrified gauntlets, which is, I think is pretty cool, like being able to punch them and electrocute demons. And then you're going to have a Doom spiked mace, which here's the mace. not a flail, it's a mace. And the thing id Software made very clear about this is each one of these melee weapons will have their own unique glory kills and outcomes that come along with it. And as far as guns go, I mean, we saw a bunch of them. We saw a skull-smashing, bone-shooting machine gun. There's plasma guns. There's impaling cannons, which it just looks like it's creating such a super powerful feel to the game that once you play, you're going to feel like a god in this game. And again, as excited as I was about Doom, like knowing that this is what we're getting from a combat standpoint, I'm just like, can I get this now? And here's the thing, we haven't even talked about the mechs, right? Doom Eternal will have these things called Atlan mechs, which are 30-story tall mechanical Doom Slayers, and you will be fighting these giant demons in these epic battles. And I just really hope that maybe like post-launch we get a Atlan mech mini mode where like all I do is just I'm in the mech and I'm just fighting off waves of giant demons and allowing me to just live all my Pacific Rim fantasies of me being inside Gypsy Danger and just fighting off kaiju. Like, this is an area that I'm very excited about the game. But then the other thing kind of hit me out of left field. You know, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. There was a dragon we see Doomslayer flying. How could I forget that we have to talk about the cybernetic Gatlin-equipped fire-breathing dragon? Just in case those of you at home missed what I just said, there is going to be a cybernetic, dual-wielding Gatlin-equipped fire-breathing dragon that I am going to name Jeff. And I cannot wait to see how Jeff impacts the gameplay, because that is going to be wild. Like, just when you thought that Doom could not raise the bar, they give me a robot dragon with machine guns. Like, holy hell, dude. This game, the bar is so high for my expectations for this game. Now, the next thing that id Software talked about was the world of Doom, the Dark Ages, and essentially we can expect to be like exploring dark forest, battlefields, dungeons, worlds beyond, and all of them are going to have that classic Doom feel of like puzzle mechanics and jumping and killing and slaying. And one thing that will kind of stray away that I'm really intrigued about is they're saying like there's going to be an open world battlefield that you can basically explore as the Doomslayer and fight in the war. And in this battlefield, there's going to be like dungeons and caves, and there's a loot to discover out there and mysteries and puzzles to solve. Admittedly, I'm probably going to be spending a lot of my time in this open world environment because like open world battlefield, I always go back to like Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, and how I would just spend hours as a kid just fighting orcs and not passing the level. I was just like, I just want to fight. I just want to hack and slash. I just want to go. I see this exact same thing happening in Doom the Dark Ages, where I'm just going to hang out on this battlefield, and I might kill like 10,000 demons in one sitting. You know, hell, let's throw it out there. Let's set the world record. Let's say we're going to kill 100,000 demons in one sitting. That'll send a message. You'll just have the guys at Guinness Book of World Records saying, sorry, what did he do? He killed how many demons? And of course, if it's not apparent, I mean, I was super sold on this. I'm very impressed by what id Software has accomplished here. And, you know, they gave us a release date, and I was fearing that this might be a late year part of the game coming out. But however, Doom, The Dark Ages will be releasing on May 15th of 2025. And id closed it out by saying this is going to be the best game that id has ever released. And, you know, recently I read Masters of Doom, which dives into like the history of id Software and how they went from like stealing computers to develop games on the weekend, to early build models of Doom, to revolutionizing the online multiplayer space with Quake. And I guess like them saying this is going to be the best game that id has ever made kind of hit me differently because I read that book and I'm like, that's such a big statement. And it gets me even more excited about this game because I genuinely want a great Doom game in my life right now, and that id has the confidence to say like, this is the best game we've ever made. I just cannot wait. Nintendo's Switch 2 Direct is still months away, but thanks to the internet, the Switch 2 launch titles are beginning to leak online. And I don't know what's happening with Nintendo right now, but this launch has been so filled with leaks. Like, I feel like every day I turn online and I'm learning something new. And like in the 7 years I've spent covering video games here on the show, I can't remember a single game or like even a single console that has dealt with the level of leaks that Nintendo is dealing with right now. Like, it's getting to the point that I know Nintendo is making their partners sign NDAs, but like, did they forget to have their employees sign them too? Because everything is leaking at this point. Now, this specific leak is because of the online retailer Newegg, who briefly listed the following on their Nintendo gift card page: 2025 games, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, new 3D Mario, new Mario Kart, a Legend of Zelda remaster, Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, and Pokemon Legends Z and A. And it's definitely worth noting here, that has since been updated, and the games that have been removed are any games that mention a new 3D Mario, new Mario Kart, or a Zelda remaster. Those games have been removed. So let's just break that down for a second, because I think there's some important takeaways there. A new Mario game is very intriguing to me, because I feel like looking back on Nintendo consoles in my life, every generation has their own Mario game that I can remember, right? Like Super Nintendo 64, you have the Mario 64. When you had the Switch, it was Odyssey. When you had GameCube, it was Sunshine, and Nintendo Wii had Galaxy. And so it would make sense that Nintendo would be like, hey, Switch 2's coming out, let's get a brand new 3D Mario video game out and, you know, build up some hype and get people invested in this game. But it's hard for me to get my hopes up for this, because I've also read stories that's like, no. Nintendo's not talking about a new 3D Mario game. What they're talking about here is possibly doing a remastered version of Super Mario Odyssey in order to like fully take advantage of the new resolutions that the Switch 2 will offer, which I guess like I'm okay with, but I mean, admittedly, a repolished Mario Odyssey just definitely does not make me want to like run to the stores and grab a brand new Nintendo Switch console. But the new Zelda game is intriguing though, because like they're like, it could be a remaster or it could be a new game. And there's a lot of games you could choose from if you want to remaster. I mean, the safe bets here are probably like a remaster of Breath of the Wild or a remaster of Tears of the Kingdom. I know Tears of the Kingdom just came out, but again, new tech with rumored like 4K, 2K resolutions when in dock mode. You definitely want to say like, we can upscale this game, we can make it run better. But like the other reason I lean towards like Tears of the Kingdom is I think it was last year. In 2024, there was a report that came out that said Breath of the Wild outsold Tears of the Kingdom by 11 million copies. Now keep in mind, at that time, Breath of the Wild was a 7-year-old game. So during that fiscal year, Breath of the Wild, a 7-year-old game, sold 11 million more copies than Tears of the Kingdom did, which was the brand new Zelda game. Now, in my opinion, a lot of that is people seeing Tears of the Kingdom and like, well, I gotta play the first one first, which is good news, but I'm sure Nintendo is looking at this and being like, man, our new Zelda game has a lot more potential. We can get way more sales out of Tears of the Kingdom, so let's throw it on the Switch 2, let's boost up the performance, and let's charge another $79.99 for the better resolutions and figure out what's going there. I, personally, though, would like to see like a new entry. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of Tears. I thought it was okay. It's not the greatest Zelda game of all time, but it's a good Zelda game. But I would love to see a new entry of just something completely different, completely wild. But I feel like that would have came out, at least like we would know if they're working on a new Zelda entry at this point, but I don't think that's the case. And then the final game listed there is a new Mario Kart game, which I know we talked about it following the Switch reveal last week, that they were showing Mario Kart. And look, I think this is a no-brainer for Nintendo. Mario Kart is the type of game that sells like hotcakes. Whether you are new to Nintendo or whether you've grown up with Nintendo, Mario Kart holds a very nostalgic spot in all of our lives. And a new Mario Kart game is something you can play with friends and you can play with kids and everybody understands it. So it makes sense. But you combine a new Mario Kart game with like the speculated 24-player races, the improvements, and like the new technology. And yeah, you can get really excited here. Right? And like, let's say the Nintendo Switch 2 has an improved online experience and we can now play those games significantly better online. I think that would be huge. But as excited as this gets me, there's also a part of me that has to temper my expectations, because I am 35 years old. I've dealt with Nintendo my entire pretty much life ever since I was a kid. And I look at like this lineup and I'm like, yeah, it's probably not a new 3D Mario. It's probably not a new Zelda game. These are probably remastered Odyssey, and it's probably remastered Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, right? It's just they're going to remaster the games and release them similar to what they did with the Wii U going into the Nintendo Switch. And then I look at Mario Kart, and I'm like, as excited as I would be for a brand new Mario Kart game, it's hard for me to get excited because I'm like, what if this was just Mario Kart 8 remastered? And I know I got a lot of heck for that last week. I know there was a lot of people who were like, how can you say that? This looks nothing like Mario Kart 8. But I'm just like, I know Nintendo. And I'm not going to put it past them for them to be like, we don't need a new Mario Kart game. Just put a polish of paint on the old Mario Kart game, add the word Deluxe and Ultimate Edition to it, and we'll sell millions. I don't know. It's really interesting, and we could spend hours debating this, but like, I think it's also important to reiterate here, right? This is coming from Newegg. This is not coming from Nintendo. So until we hear from Nintendo, all of this is just speculation, right? Nintendo will come out and they'll announce the launch titles for the Switch 2, and that it will be taking place on May 2nd, which is a very long time from now. But at the same time, I mean, you look at how many leaks we're getting on a daily and weekly basis, and there's a really good chance that whatever these launch details are that Nintendo's holding for this Direct, those are going to get revealed way before the Direct because everything is getting leaked for this. But Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket just dropped the first details about the next expansion titled Space Time Smackdown, which is also what my wallet will be going through when all of these new cards drop. You know, I have been critical about Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket when it comes to like my luck and the predetermined wonder picks and obviously like the rules when it comes to trading. Y'all have seen that, and this new trailer dropped, and it was the first time in a long time that I'm like, you know what? Just when I think I'm out, Pokemon Company just pulls me right back in because this new trailer for Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket showed off 2 new booster packs for the Space Time Smackdown expansion that will add over 140 cards, including new X cards, new trainer cards, and new immersive cards. Now, based off the trailer and the booster packs included in the video, it's clear that Dialga and Palkia are basically going to be the stars of this deck. But I also have to say, like, I'm very intrigued by Gen 4 Pokemon being added to this game. I think it's going to be fun, but it's also going to be exciting to see like how this impacts deck building and what other things. Like I stopped the video on the Dialga card, and reading it, it says that the ability basically allows you to take 2 metal energy from the energy zone and attach it to one of your Pokemon. And I'm like, man, that's going to change a lot. I had somebody do this recently to me with, I can't remember what card it was, but they basically, like, every time they attacked me, every one of their cards on their bench basically got, like, 2 energy. And I was like, holy hell, I need to put this card in my rotation. And then the Palkia's big attack was kind of funny because it does 150 damage. And granted, you lose, like, 3 energy for using this. But then every one of the enemy's benched opponents also lose 20 damage. So I thought it was like, dude, that's a sick card. That's going to be, like, great in competition. So those cards are definitely going to add some challenge to it, and it gets me excited about like what else is going to be included in this expansion. Also, they kind of got me with the immersives, like in the mythical and also in like the starter packs, right? The immersives are by far the coolest cards, and I think it's such a great use of the technology with it being a digital game. And I really hope that with this new series of boosters, we get just more than a couple, right? Like I would love to see like 5 or 6 immersives through this entire new expansion, but only I'm out of time for that. Now, according to the trailer, Space Time Smackdown expansion will be going live for Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket players on January 30th, and I am sure that this will generate another $200 million for the studio because at this point, my wallet is ready. I know my friends' wallets are ready, and I'm sure everybody is ready to play this game. And looking forward to it. Can't wait to see what they do. There's still some things that they need to change to this game, but I can be hyped about brand new cards because at the end of the day, that solves my luck issue. I'm so tired of pulling cards that I already have. When you get a new expansion, every card is brand new, at least for the first couple days. So I'll be good for the first 48 hours, and then when we record next week, I might just be in here and be like, oh my god, I can't win this game. But anyway, shout out to Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket. Check it out when it launches. Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket Space Time Smackdown launching on January 30th. Palworld has just laid out some new features that players can expect to launch over the next year. And I gotta be honest, a lot of these features are really dope. So in case you missed it, over on X, the official Palworld account posted kind of a roadmap for the next 12 months of the game. And let's pull these up real quick because it includes things like co-op crossplay, world transfer for pals, final boss ending scenarios, more ways to improve your pals, and new technology, game collaborations, and improvements to world object placements, base pals, optimization, and of course user experience, which Palworld adding co-op crossplay really took me out of left field because I was like, I thought the game already had that. Like, it's 2025, and I assumed every game had co-op crossplay, and if it doesn't, let's do a quick PSA. Developers, if you are releasing a game in 2025 or beyond, co-op crossplay, please. And while we're on the subject, cross progression, please. I would love if that just became an industry standard, that whether you're playing on Xbox, Nintendo, PlayStation, PC, cloud, wherever, my experience is the same. So if I'm playing a story game, wherever I left off, that's where I pick up on a new console. Now, the other updates, more pals and more technology. I mean, no complaints from me there. This is honestly one of my favorite things about Ark, is that you've got constant like new dinos coming to the game, and you've got to go out and hunt them and explore them and tame them, and I look forward to that with PAL. End boss. I mean, that's a very intriguing concept because it would be very dope if they added just like a world-eating PAL that you had to defeat in order to save the world. But like, also like, what else could that be, right? Like, how could you expand that? Like, could you maybe make the end boss be like a dungeon or like a raid? So you're going through like challenges and you're fighting constant bosses and other pals and you're solving puzzles, and then you get to the final thing and it's the boss, and it's like impossible to beat. Like, I'm a big fan of when games make things like too difficult to beat, and like you're like, oh man, only 5% of players have beaten Palworld's end boss. I think that would be super sick. But yeah, I mean, all of these updates look super solid for Palworld, and I think it's super cool that the company is still investing in the game. The company has not abandoned the game, despite Nintendo being like, we're gonna put you out of business, brother. But no, shout out to Palworld. Can't wait to see them expand this game over the next years. They clearly cannot be bothered by Nintendo. Netflix is teasing some pretty big ambitions for its ventures into gaming. Yeah, this is the last story of the show, but it's kind of a short one, but they'll still think it's well worth bringing up here on the show. So this story comes from The Verge, who discussed how Netflix co-CEO Greg Peters told investors that Netflix is focusing on cloud-based co-op and party games as a successor to Family Board Game Night, which is a really dope idea. Like, don't get me wrong, I think the games that Netflix has been adding are cool and they're like really fun, but like, I don't think it's really breached the medium. Whereas like if you added games like Life or Monopoly or like Candyland, and like you're like, hey, everybody just use a mobile device, connect to the TV, and we can play together, I feel like that would bring in a lot of casual gamers, or like maybe like we play games once a year, or like it's Thanksgiving, it's Christmas, let's all play together. I think that would be super cool. Plus, think of all the other games you could expand to. Like, imagine a Settlers of Catan, right? You're playing on the TV with all your friends, but it's basically a Settlers of Catan board, and you just kind of stream. I think that would be so sick. And the other thing that Peter mentioned in this quote, and if we could pull this back up again, he basically said that he wants to like redefine game shows, which is wild. Especially when you think about like Netflix is getting into like live, right? They did the football games, they did the Jake Paul fight. WWE is live every single Monday on Netflix. I mean, imagine if Netflix started doing like live game shows where it's like global trivia and everybody in the world who's a Netflix subscriber can play, or it's Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and you get to compete for that $1 million on that live show. I think that would be huge. And it's kind of weird because initially when I heard like Netflix was getting into gaming and cloud gaming, I was like, okay, this is probably just going to be another Stadia. But I think like them getting into like the casual market and them talking about board games, I feel like that's a way bigger concept than what Stadia was trying to accomplish, right? And it makes me realize that what Netflix is trying to do is, if they play it correctly, it could create a completely new vertical for not only gaming, but also for Netflix as a company. And I think that's super cool. Now, the sad part of this story, we've got no release date. So Netflix didn't give us like a window or be like, it's happening this year. But hey, Netflix, if you're watching, please, thank you for the WWE. First off, I've been loving watching Raw consistently on a basis now. But second note, board games, great idea. Jackbox, another great idea. Put those games on the platform. I think they would surprise you as far as it goes like of usage. So